Hello everyone, it is Joe here from OmniPoke, the channel that brings you guys everything Pokemon, and we're back on PTCGO because Burning Shadows has been released, and we're going to be continuing onwards with Worlds format deck lists, and we'll be able to show some battles off as well now. So, we are going to be looking today at Vikavolt Tapu Bulu. It's an archetype that was popularised really by John Roberts more than anyone else. He played a really nice list for the North American Internationals, and he was very close to making it into the top 8 and sort of fell at the last hurdle. I think it was down to time more than anything else. I believe he tied his last round rather than winning to get in. Something along those lines. But regardless, he really popularized a nice way of building the deck, which was much more of a Skyla focus rather than a draw engine focus, because Strong Charge is able to access the deck, so we really don't need to draw too many cards to do actions during our turn. All we need to do is get Vikavolt set up, and the rest of the deck sort of plays out on its own. So we're going to be looking at a few tweaks, only a few, that come from the new set, Burning Shadows. I think there's literally like one card that I'm playing from Burning Shadows, but the deck itself isn't the thing that changes, it's the metagame around it that changes more than anything else. I believe that Vikabulu gains a few good matchups. Anything Gliscopod wise, I think you can do quite nicely against. Additionally, there is Guardy, which, although you can't one-shot, we do have things to put ourselves in a little bit better range, so I'll discuss that matchup as well and why I think it could be favourable. So, let's have a look at the archetype. First of all, we have 3 Tapu Bulu GX. This is the tin promo. We are able to accelerate this guy very nicely with Vikavolt. He has 3 attacks. The first is Horn Attack for a single grass, which does 30. It's actually pretty important against things like Greninja, where you can very early on just take early prizes. Additionally, you can put things into range of bigger knockouts. For example, you put a 30 on a Ralts, that's ready for you to knock it out later on with a Nature's Judgment with a discard if you have a tool attached. So that's pretty cool for you. These little pokes do sometimes, and actually quite often, become very influential, especially when we can put a Choice Band on top to do a 1 for 60. That's nothing to sniff at at all. Nature's Judgment is his main attack. For 2 grass and a colourless, we deal a base of 120, which is already a good baseline. It means without discarding, we can still be 2-hit KOing the more big Pokemon, the likes of Decidueye and even Guardy if you're not going for the 1-hit KOs, but most of the time you will be. So we're hitting these big chunky Pokemon for 2 hits at the very minimum, and then sometimes with a Choice Band and the discard of all the energy attached to him, you can do an additional 60, so that's 180, knocking out things like other Bulus, Volcanions, Drampas, Tapu Leles. You're oftentimes getting 2 prizes with him, especially when you can ramp that even further with the Choice Band to go up to 210. 210 is a very nice number, like I said, Gliscopod, and even things like Turtonator, Lapras, all obviously. Lots of things that you can one-hit KO thanks to this guy with the Choice Band. One of the reasons we've gone back to Choice Band from Fury Belt, in fact, is so that we can deal better damage against Gardevoir, because we are playing 1 Tapu Koko in the list, and it's actually a really important card, because basically once they've Brigited, you can do 1 Flying Flip spread, and then every one of your Bulus from that point onwards, with the Choice Band, can one-hit KO their Guardies, so bear that in mind. It is very nice numbers. The final attack for Tapu Bulu is his GX, which does 150 base. Not quite perfect, but again, Choice Band gets us into 180, which is actually quite a beautiful number. And you get to heal all damage from this Pokemon. So basically, if your opponent can't one-hit KO Tapu Bulu, at least in the early turns, we will get value from his GX attack and oftentimes take 2 prizes in the process, especially if we can Horn Attack early on or if we just get Choice Band in time. This is a brilliant GX attack and is very helpful. 180 HP on our own side is like okay, and there's plenty of circumstances where that heal is going to be influential. Then we have the 3-1-3 line of Vikavolt. Nothing really to note on the Grubbin except that it's a grass type, so if other people have Forest in play, you can go straight into your 1-of Charjabug. Charjabug has a 3 retreat cost, which is why we use this one, because we play Heavy Ball in the list. And then we have the 3 Vikavolt. 150 HP, stage 2 lightning type, with the ability Strong Charge. Once during your turn, you may search your deck for a grass and a lightning energy and attach them to your Pokemon in any way that you like. Very, very powerful ability. It basically end-proofs you throughout the game, because as you could see with the Bulu, we discard from ourselves each turn. And if we're doing that discard, we need to get 3 energy all the way back on him all over again. And this is where Vikavolt comes in. If you have one into play, you can get yourself a grass and a lightning, and then manually attach a grass to fit the 3 energy costs, or in an ideal situation, we have multiple Vikavolts up, sometimes 2, in which case we get a real ton of energy getting onto the board every single turn, and it's going to be brilliant for you. This card is actually a decent attacker as well at times. Electro Cannon for a lightning and 3 colourless deals 150, and you discard 3 energy from this Pokemon. Again, the choice band can put you into 180, and when it's a non-EX taking 2 prizes, that's very efficient. You do have to be careful, of course, because it is your engine, so maybe this is your late game sweeper. Additionally, we have another type in the deck. We have grass weakness on things like Greninja if we want to play with the Bulu, but in matchups where lightning typing is good, for example Rayquaza, this can knock out Mega Rays, which is pretty good for you, so bear that in mind as well. This also has the 3 retreat cost, which is going to be helpful for the one of Heavy Ball that you can see there. Next up for Pokemon, we are playing 3 Tapu Lele GX. I think it's just really important to get Brigette, and it's really important to just fish out other supporters. It's not like we play many one-offs. I know that we have split the Lysandre and Guzma count up a little bit. Brock is an important one to hit on certain turns. I just like the consistency of 3 Lele because you just get that Brigette, and that's pretty much all you need turn 1 every single game. We can energy drive as well with this card, of course, because we can accelerate a bunch with strong charges and get explosive damage as well with Tapu Lele, so bear this guy in mind as well. Finally, we have Tapu Koko to round out the Pokemon count. I mentioned him earlier. Very helpful for the Gardevoir GX matchup and other high HP Stage 2 Pokemon. Things like Decidueye, you might have turns to do a couple of flying flips, and then your Bulu can get one-hit knockouts with Choice Band later on. Additionally, things like Metagross, all these things, but mainly in here for Gardevoir, and also you have the added bonus of doing the spread damage against things like Gyarados, if that was to pop up. And at the very worst of times, he's a free retreater, so he's pretty much your best lead in the deck always. So, very, very good card. No downside to putting him in, really. And he can benefit quite a handful of matchups. You can actually also use Electric Ball, which can also set things up for 2 hits and force the 7 prize game at times. Do bear in mind, though, if you are trying to force the 7 prize game, it sort of lends to them to Lysandre and KO Vikavolt. Not always easy because it has 150 HP, but it's awkward for you. Sometimes it's best to just forego the Koko unless it's important in this matchup specifically. Onto the items, I've mentioned the Heavy Ball a lot. It gets Bulu, Vikavolt, and Charjabug, so very nice one-of, especially when we play Skyla, because that is essentially one of the pieces of the combo that we need. The other one being, of course, the 4 rare candy that we're going to play in order to find Vikavolt as quickly as possible. Complementing that, we have the 4 Ultra Ball, again, just consistency cards, find yourself Lele, get set up, pretty much. 3 VS Seeker, not quite the 4 count because I wanted physically higher supporters, but I feel this is fine. We are playing the 2 Field Blower in order to get rid of Float Stones on Garbs predominantly, so that we can always have strong charge available. Additionally, it can get rid of things like Fighting Fury Belt. If decks are going to ramp over your amount of HP with the belts, we can gust those off against the likes of Volcanion, so we can always be trading 1 for 1. And 2 Energy Recycler, with all the discards we have from Nature's Judgment, is important to recycle the energy back into the deck so we can pluck them back out with Vikavolt. So that is why we're playing 2 copies. I think this is the biggest deviation from the more popular lists. Some play 1, some play 0 and just play Brock, or some don't play Brock and just play one of these. I like 2 just to always have access. You're being proactive with your energy attachments this way, so basically on turns you're not being hexed, you're always getting value, whereas there might be turns where you're digging for the recycler, you don't hit it, and it means you're sort of whiffing for a single turn. It wouldn't matter if you could always have your abilities, but the fact is that you'll get hexed on turns. So as long as you have Energy Recycler, in theory, it means you'll never be whiffing on Strong Charge because of your own deck. You'll only ever whiff if you get hexed, basically. So, for supporters, the 1 Brock's Grit, again, it sort of combines with the Energy Recycler concept. We've got to cycle these energies. We've got to get them back into the deck so we have enough fuel to finish the game. Additionally, Brock can get in things like Lele's or whatever to end-proof us at times as well, which is pretty cool. Or if we've had dodgy prizes, get back some of these cards to keep attacking with and keep powering up. We are splitting the Lysandre count now into 1 Guzma, 1 Lysandre. For those of you unfamiliar with Guzma, he allows you to switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon with their active, just like how Lysandre reads. But if you do, you may switch, or no, you are forced to switch your active Pokemon with one of your benched. So We have chunky retreaters. Bulu and Vikavolt all have 3 retreat, so Guzmaing is nice, especially because we have so much control over attaching energies. We can plonk them all onto a new attacker later that turn, so Guzma will rarely harm us with his secondary effect, and will oftentimes help us if we are being stalled for whatever reason. And the Lysandre still a decent option as well. I could see going to 2 Guzma, but for now I feel like 1-1 is like just as fine, because there'll be specific situations when the other one is preferable. 2 Brigette, just because you don't want to prize it, and it's even not dead mid-game, because you can get like Bulus, and that's all you need from the deck, because then you can just start strong charging straight away. So it's a pretty cool card. 3 Skyla is like the main engine, actually. The main supporter card you want to be seeing in the deck is Skyla, because we gain so much just from getting this guy into play, that's all we need to do. So turn 1 Brigette, turn 2 Skyla to find the other pieces that you need, the candy or the ball search card, and you're pretty much happy. We are still playing 3N, so we can shuffle draw. We're not the most aggressive deck, even though we can get 1-hit KOs from turn 2. Sometimes we'll be sacking prizes, sometimes we haven't had the optimum setup, and N is going to be nice. At the same time, shuffling 6 is kind of as good, if not better, than the dump and draw from Sycamore, because oftentimes we need combo pieces. And if we have one of the pieces, but we have to Sycamore to dig into other things, it means we're discarding some of those combo pieces, whereas N will always shuffle them back in, so potentially we can redraw both combo pieces at once. That's why we're only playing 2 Sycamore. It's not as powerful as in other lists, but at the same time, dump and draw is the option, and when you have Lele, you may as well have the option to Sycamore, because it's never going to be too painful for you. The main reason we've gone over to the choice band, as I said, is so that we can knock out Gardevoir GXs efficiently. Additionally, we're just going to hit Galicipods now as well. I believe Fighting Fury Belt was played mainly because of the likes of Espeon, Garbodor, and Zoroark, the break being able to copy Nature's Judgment being very awkward for you, but because of the popularity, or the expected popularity, of Gardevoir at Worlds, those 2 decks, I would imagine, have a downturn in play, which only benefits Bulu, and pretty much means we can go back to the choice band count, which is pretty cool for us. Then we're going to play 2 Floatstone. I know some people play like switches, but especially with the Guzma now, I feel Floatstone is fine. We can be more proactive to just put these on the board, even though they can be blown away. We can play it as a switch card a lot of the time regardless, so it doesn't really matter too much. And then we are just playing the split of 7-5, which I believe most people have actually landed on, and I'm pretty much following suit. These are people more experienced than I am with Vikavolt Bulu, so seems pretty good to me. I remember earlier on in the season I played like a 3 Lightning, and that was really punishing. So I like upping that count a little bit more. Potentially 4-8 was another one that I was testing a lot. I like having physical grass energy in hand to manually attach. It just makes Nature's Judgment that much more consistent on turn 2. But 7 is still a decently high count. Another thing you could consider in here is Professor's Letter if you really want to go down that route, but I don't think it's all that strong, even with a Skyla engine. But there we are. A couple other things we could be playing. For Pokemon, the only thing I would really consider is Oranguru. I've said a few times that all we need to do is keep getting Vikavolts going, but at times you do need to have like Lysandre for game and such. So when we are end down low, Oranguru could be a nice little instructor to sit on the bench and draw us into the outs we need to win the game, basically. He is also pretty cool. Fury Belt as well. If you want to play a split, this is actually reasonable, especially because it really improves your Greninja, which you wouldn't expect to be a difficult matchup, but Belt means that this guy is just that much more tanky, and it means Horn Attack now does 40, which can, with weakness, KO Frogadiers, not just Froakies. So it puts us on a little bit less pressure to definitely get this in the active turn 2 to KO things with its second attack, so bear that in mind as well. Fury Belt, just in general, a decent card, so maybe we play a split of tools. That is also a thing. Switch is pretty cool, just a regular switch card. Jeez, where is it? There it is. If you want to mix up floats and whatnot, I don't think there's many status conditions you have to be worried about, so that's why I'm not going for that. In a similar vein to Tapu Koko, you could choose to play Professor Kukui, so that we can one-bang Guardies at the same time, which is also very good for you. Another supporter option that I would consider is Acerola. We already have the healing aspect of the Bulu's GX attack, but this could be an additional way to remove damage off the board when decks can't one-hit KO Tapu Bulu. Right now I just think there's a good chunk that can, so I've not made the space for the Acerola, but that could be something you go for. So, there we go. Let's jump into the ladder and see how this goes. It's a pretty cool deck. It's been doing well as of late as well. It did very well in Liverpool. It was only one master who made top 32 with it, even though it was popular. But in seniors, it was piloted to second place, I believe, by Alex Kroger as well, viewer of the channel. So hopefully he's watching, and congrats to him on his performance. And who knows, maybe it is going to be once again a successful deck for Worlds, because it's a deck that people are experienced with, people have started to optimize, and it seems like a pretty safe deck with not too many awkward matchups. So let's see how it does in the ladder today. It is early on for Burning Shadows, so we could be seeing all sorts on the ladder here, just pre-warning you. But hopefully we get some good games. Another thing to note is, of course, that you can get yourself that 10% discount over at flipsidegaming.com. Do take advantage of that, guys. It is a pretty sweet deal whenever you spend more than £10. So all these things to bear in mind. But we've finally got ourselves into a game, and I need to take a swig of water because I've been talking loads at once. Okay. We have a pretty good start here. We're up against Lapras, so I'm assuming that Field Blower is not going to be relevant ever. Even if he plays Belts, we have Weakness, and I'm doubting he's going to play Garbodor. So it's rare that you'll get rid of both blowers, but in this matchup it seems fine. And we're just going to do the usual things of getting Brigette turn 1. We even have a manual attachment for turn off the top deck, so pretty glorious stuff. We have prized Lysandre. We've prized 1N. Prized a Grubbin. We have our Heavy Ball, which is important. And 2 Lightning prized. This is all workable. We can live with this. Not going to need Koko in this matchup. We can do this. Hold the band, I don't think it's important, and we'll just pass for now. So we see Energy Choice Band from the opponent's side. One thing we do have to be worried about is potentially they can play Tapu GX now. And if at any point we overcommit with Bulu, they could Tapu GX up our Vikavolt and we could be in an awkward spot. So we've got to be on the lookout for that one. And although it is a deck that is weak to grass, it can one-hit KO us back quite handily with Blizzard Burn and Choice Bands. And of course they can sneak up on us with the likes of Articuno to take easy prizes as well. So we've got to be on high alert here. Just because it's grass v water doesn't mean it's an easy matchup. Okay, we are going to see a collect here. Not the best top deck. We can commit this. Oh, that was really bad. Why did I do that? That was a terrible decision because we play Floatstones and not switches. Anyway, it doesn't matter because of our hand. We can just do this. I guess we're content with Charjabug. And we will have to pass here. Yeah, I was thinking about throwing away the band just because it didn't seem relevant for our damage, but it should have gone on the bench lele, not the active. Or even onto a Grubbin or Charjabug. I actually put it on probably the worst target. Okay, we're going to see an E-switch. Do they have a Lysandre here? I see an Elixir. Ultra Ball could be for a Lele. Seeing as they're getting rid of other supporters, that might be an indicator. Just going to grab themselves Manaphy. Also very reasonable. There's a Field Blower. It's fine. Looks like they've just got, yeah, Sycamore. So although they'll probably go ahead in prizes here, it's not on the most worrying target, and we guarantee a response with our Bulu just from attaching from hand. Let's see how much more ramp they can do this turn. They're going to Ultra Ball. Getting rid of a Rough Sea is not going to be helpful. Just finding another Lapras. Maybe that's what they're going to start powering up if they have any more Aqua Patches. Or Max Elixirs. Sounds reasonable to me. Yep, there's an Aqua Patch. No sign of Tapu Fini, which is cool. They also get themselves an Elixir. And a Choice Band to the bench. Pretty nice setup for them. So they're really threatening a response KO on us. So we're put under a bit of pressure here. We do have Sycamore though. So we don't have to be too worried. Choice Band matter on anything. It means I could Lysandre Tapu Wilderness, I guess. But if I'm Lysandering Tapu Wilderness, I'm dealing with Manaphy. Yeah. Okay. Stick with our instincts and put on the lele. Okay, still whiffing, but it doesn't matter. We've done it the hard way. We've got really the hard way. We have the candy in hand for next turn. As long as we don't top deck our third lightning energy, we can still power up Bulu next turn. So we can just Nature's Judgment for no discard because of the weakness. Finish off this Lapras. Even up the prize trade. They're likely to come in and respond. It just depends on if they're able to respond whilst getting, once again, more Aqua Patches down and more Elixirs. They're going to N us. Not the most horrible N, to be honest. We'll see what we can get out of it. Well, that's double Vikavolt, so that's pretty good. It also denies the Articuno from easy Grubbin prizes to close out their game. Yeah, just give me the Blizzard Burn. Quite a fortunate 4 cards for us, but we'll take it. And Vikavolt is actually one of these decks that doesn't mind playing with a 0-card hand, because at this point we have 2 Vikavolts up. We can just pretty much go all in on Strong Charge now, which is really cool. So we know we have energy in here. I'll continue to get the grass and the lightning out. The grass can obviously go here, and I'll put 1 lightning on the Vikavolt itself. We can hold the float stone. I don't see much reason to do it, and I guess end proofing wise we can do it. Sure. And again, no need to discard. They have no energy on the board, so it's going to take something quite tasty to get a response on us to finish the game out. But who knows, their hand size is quite large. This deck does have the capacity to do it. They still have 2 Elixir, 2 Patch left. They do need to hit a lot though here. We also were able to rip Lysandre out of our prizes. So if they're not able to respond, we have game, unless they N us. Maybe they do like a Chilling Sigh play, a Panic Chilling Sigh. Just get rid of their own stadium so they can lower the hand size. Pretty cool option, so they can Shaman. Needing some more answers at this point for certain. There's an Elixir. Does whiff, unfortunate. There's an attachment. The attachment to hand is here. It means they might not be able to move Sudowoodo. So just fortunate that Lysandre was one of our prizes. See a Guzma, okay. And Chilling Sigh. Let's see. Tails, so we don't win the game this turn. Actually, do we? Do we have Guzma in deck? We do, right? Yep. Good old Guzma. Good work. All possible. That one card change that we made from Burning Shadows has won us this game. What a guy. What a fella. And that is going to be a decent win. Scary matchup because they have so much burst on their own side that they can... They're one of the few decks that can actually keep up with the Vikavolt Bulu. Especially because we missed the Vikavolt for a couple of turns. Okay. Ooh, we get the optimal lead. And we get Lele in hand. Let's say hello. Well, we're going second, so we should put the Bulu down. It does reveal what we're playing, but I think it's just important to do it. Ooh, Greninja. This is a nice matchup for us. A little worse now that we don't play Fury Belts, but should still be a nice matchup. We don't currently have Grass Energy in our hand, but we are going to draw 3 mulligans here. Still no, but we can live with it. Ooh, they played Trainer's Mail in their Greninja. Haven't seen that in a while. Okay, they are going to Dive Ball. Getting Froakie number 2, because of course Bulu does threaten a single prize pretty much immediately. I wouldn't hate an N, even though our hand is pretty bonkers. Choose to attach to the bench. Well, that's a Grass Energy off the top, isn't it? It's pretty lucky. We'll take it. This is as good of a turn 1 you'll see with this deck. Pretty certain. Okay. That's pretty bonkers, isn't it? Pretty bonkers. This should go here. Pretty nice. So taking a Grass from the prizes is also very good. If we don't get End here, it's pretty ridiculous. Because he has guaranteed duplicates, why would he end? Because he has the chance of drawing into more Frogadiers. So this is going to go pretty bananas pretty quickly, guys. Sometimes lucky. How disgusting. No need to end, because I mean, what else do we need? Nothing. One thing we don't play is Hex Maniac. So this is literally like as good as it gets for us. We basically sit here announcing attacks for the next few turns. One potential benefit of playing Switch over Float is Bubble. Looks like they're going to Bubble. As long as they find a Greninja. Ah. Okay. Yep. sounds about right. Let's have one more game with Vikavolt Bulu. So far, we found a Greninja, which is obviously one of your good matchups. Potentially a hype deck for Worlds. I know a few people are chattering about it. And it's actually one I'm going to be profiling as well very soon. And Lapras, which is a deck that I also have a lot of experience with from the streams recently. And that gains Tapu Fini, which is an interesting card that I don't think enough people are hyping. I think it's potentially a very good card. That GX attack is very good. Right, let's have our third game. See what we're up against. Looks like it's another water deck box. It again is a very good hand. Tapu Lele start. What could this be? Oh, a Alolan Ninetales, likely. We can hit 210 because we're playing choice bands, so that's pretty chill. Again, Field Blower not too important in this matchup, nor is Guzma, I don't think. I would rather just be Skylaring out stuff, I think. Nah, you know, we'll keep the option around. As long as we haven't prized both Brigitte's, good news. We have prized Charjabug, so we need to be candying. Prized the lele. Okay, looks good. Let's get the crew out. Get our attachment going. And poke for horn attack. We don't really care if the Lele hits us back now because we've put it in Tapu Wilderness range. So we'll see. That's a pretty clean Ultra Ball from them. Getting rid of 2 Water Energy with the Ninetales deck is very good. They only look for a Vulpix though. Gonna be a clean Sycamore. There's a Remoraid. Another Vulpix. Very optimum setup basically. Energy Drive. Inconsequential, but forcing the GX attack out. Oh, we actually just... okay. That works. Question is, do I just hold Skyla for shenanigans? I can play Skyla for a Sycamore, basically, or I can just hold Skyla and basically like hide a band, make it look like I have no hand. Because Choice Band KOs a Ninetales if it comes up. With currently no float stones on their board, it's unlikely that they go patch, DC, band, float, Ninetales. But with Octillery Mallow, anything's possible. We get punished if he can KO this. Literally, that's the only way we get punished, because we don't have another Grass Energy in hand. Let's just play safe. Boring safeness. Okay. And on the topic of boring and safe, we'll use our GX attack now. I feel like the Ninetales always looks to one-shot, so just finding a space for it now seems good. Weave it in. We should have been a man. Look, got the VS Seeker and the Lele. Okay, gonna get end regardless. We have that Skyla in the discard pile now, at least. Oh, okay, we have banned and we had the VS Seeker regardless. So here comes Ninetales. I wonder where this 50 will go. There's the choice band, so maybe just active. There's Octillery, so potentially there's more in store for us. There's Aqua Patches flying around. Just going to be Ice Blade to the active. Yeah, seems fine. Seems fine to me. So, we indeed do play Choice Band, my friend. Unfortunate for you. We are just going to pretty much do our thing here. We're set up. There's not much they can do about this. We have the attachment for the next guy. Just hold the VS Seeker. There's nothing else we need this turn. So, we'll just go for the big old discard. And, take the KO here. 2 prizes away. Our next Bulu is set up, even if they do get the KO. If they don't get the KO, we can just chill. Even if they do like Hex attack or something, it's fine. So it seems like, again, it's a pretty favourable matchup. Bulu just so efficient at getting one-hit knockouts. Very simple, powerful deck. And for Worlds, something that does it day in, day out is pretty good. And Bulu does fit that category of just doing the same thing every single game. It's just whether the opponent is able to draw well enough to weave in the likes of hexes and such. Here comes the N from the opponent. Wow. Jeez. Feels bad, man. Just casually have game from the end to 2. Who needs a Rangaroo when you can just draw it all anyway, huh? Just makes this a very uninteractive. 1 in 3 attacks. Oh, they played the new Alolan Ninetales. Cool. Probably too late. Probably too late by the looks of things. Could have been interesting to force us into like Vikavolt and such, but we might as well just play this just in case there's anything that I didn't foresee in the prizes. I need to check the band's in here. Yeah, band is in here. Cool. Kapow, kapow. Kapow. Skyla. You are a babe. And you have won me this game. As long as I don't misclick at this point. Easy pickings. So, some pretty quick games with Bulu, to be honest. We just made fast work of everyone. Didn't hit any majorly bad matchups. Obviously things like ability lock is an issue, item lock is an issue, but many people are writing off Vileplume just because of other decks playing Acerola and Guzma now having outs to stall. So potentially the metagame is working favourably for the likes of Vikavolt Bulu. So hopefully this is one that is now back on the radar for Worlds for you guys, because it's a straightforward, powerful deck, and I believe the list we're presenting is very simple, fairly streamlined. The move over to bans, I think, is going to be helpful for Worlds. For getting those big one-hit knockouts, we saw the likes of, just imagine like the Ninetales being a Galissapod deck, and it would function very similarly, where we just announce our attack 3 times and take knockouts each time. So it's just going to be nice at crushing some decks that aren't really prepared for other big one-hit KOs. Most people assume that Volk is the big one-hit KO deck, or Ray is the big one-hit KO deck, but this card pretty much is the same thing as well, just in a different shell. So there we go, guys. Hope you did enjoy the video, the list, and the fact that we are back on PTCGO, showing off some battles as well. Leave your comments down below. Leave a like to the video if you did, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. For now, though, it has been Joe from OmniPoke, and I'll be seeing you guys tomorrow for another Worlds video. Cheers.